I would now like to welcome our newly appointed General Secretary and newly elected, thank you, newly elected General Secretary Andrea Egan. As Andrea walks onto the podium, I want to give you a little bit of introduction about Andrea, who began her public sector career as a residential care worker, supporting vulnerable children before qualifying as a social worker 15 years ago. Andrea became a union steward 30 years ago and has since served as Assistant Secretary, Joint Secretary, and Secretary of UNISON's Bolton Local Government Branch. Andrea was elected to UNISON's National Executive Council in 2017 and went on to become President of the Union in 2022. During our term as President, Andrea supported the introduction of the Union's first race discrimination panel and championed the Disabled Workers Passport. Andrea also led the Organizing to Win program, focused on securing improvements to pay and conditions for members. In December 2025, Andrea was elected General Secretary of UNISON with nearly 60% of the votes, becoming the first rank and file member to lead the union. She became the first rank and file member to lead the union on a commitment to radically changing the way our union operates, promoting, organizing, and collective strength. Let us welcome Andrea to the podium. Andrea, you're welcome.
Good morning, conference. Morning. I hope you all had a good evening. Yesterday, I attended the Stand Up to Racism event. It was really well attended and we had some great contributions. Conference delegates, chair, it really is an honour to stand today as your new General Secretary, a lay member, the first lay member in this role in our history, and it is an historical moment for us all. And it's an opportunity to ensure that our voices as members are heard in every corner of UNISON. I've stood where you stand, felt what you feel, and know what it is like to fight to be heard in workplaces that too often ignore the voices of black workers. I'm coming into this role with a clear mandate from members. They want a union that it puts them first, a union that is bold, confident, and unafraid to get behind and in front of workers who want to fight for better pay, terms and conditions with dignity at work. This is not business as usual in UNISON. We're entering a new chapter, a new strategy to challenge racism in the workplace, a new determination to deliver real change, not just warm words. Because for too long, black members have carried the weight of discrimination cases that drag on for years, disciplinary processes that fall disproportionately on your shoulders, and workplaces that treat equality as an optional extra. And I know the hurt, the frustration, the exhaustion that comes from being ignored or sidelined by employers when you raise racism, when your grievances sit unanswered, and when the trauma is compounded by delay, denial, and silence. And this has to change. And under my leadership, it will. As your president, I was proud to lead the Year of the Black Worker in 2023, celebrating the strength, contribution, and leadership of black members across our union. But celebration alone is not enough. As General Secretary, my focus is on delivery, on turning commitments into action. And my manifesto sets out clear the priorities for my first 100 days, and central to that is the delivery of the 22 recommendations of UNISON's Race Discrimination Inquiry. The inquiry laid bare the reality many Black members already knew, that racism in the workplace remains widespread, that representation gaps exist, that outcomes are not equal, that the union itself must do better, and I've started that work. So here's my vision: a union where Black members are protected, represented and empowered, a union that uses its collective bargaining strength to challenge racism head on, a union that organises to win. Because organising is how we change power. Under my leadership, we are going to build a bigger, stronger UNISON, one that reaches into every workplace, every sector, every community. One that recognises the fastest growing parts of our membership include our migrant workers and migrant care workers. Last year alone, we had a net growth of 22,000 new members, of which 19,000 of them identified as Black of African origin. Conference. Your struggles are our struggles. Your fight is UNISON's fight, and your fight is my fight. And together, collectively, we will come together to defend jobs. Together, we're going to protect pay. And together, we're going to build a campaign that delivers for £15 an hour for every worker as the baseline. Together, we have to fight austerity and the cost of living crisis that does hit Black communities the most. And we'll push for better pay and pensions across all public sector services, including our care service. And together, we have to hold employers to account when they fail our members. So that we're clear, tackling racism in workplaces require more than statements, it requires action. Too often, the conversation shifts elsewhere. People talk about the external threats and assume that by opposing them, workplace racism is somehow solved, and it isn't. Racism experienced by Black workers on the job, in disciplinary rooms, in promotion processes, in everyday treatment cannot be ignored or postponed. This union must take this responsibility for confronting discrimination wherever it occurs. And that is what the Race Discrimination Inquiry demands of us, and that is what you deserve. So we will strengthen representation in race discrimination cases, and I am working with Thompson's on turn-down rates. We'll challenge disproportionate disciplinaries and dismissals by strengthening training on lodging discrimination cases and rolling that out. But not just rolling it out, evaluating take-up and then going back to the source when take-up isn't happening. We'll support branches to take on employers who fail to protect Black workers, and we'll ensure equality is not an afterthought but a core industrial issue. This is about justice in the workplace, fairness in practice, not just policy, dignity for every member. Conference, UNISON is affiliated to the Together Alliance, and we're going to support the national demonstration on the 28th of March. And I'm going to represent UNISON as a speaker. We will continue working with the other trade unions under the umbrella of the TUC and others where appropriate. Because, conference, when we turn up at demonstrations on a Saturday and then return to our workplaces on a Monday without follow-up action, that keeps the bosses happy and it keeps the government happy. Our responsibility is to ensure that we mobilise. The NBMC has continued to build on the legacy of the Year of Black Workers from 2023 over the past year, ensuring that the campaign translates into sustained action and meaningful outcomes for Black members. And I know that that focus from your National Committee's campaigning work with the government over the last year regarding the ethnicity pay gap. And this remains an indicator of race inequality and contributes directly to disparities in wealth, opportunity and life chances for Black members. And I know as UNISON members, we do welcome the Labour government's commitment to making the ethnicity pay gap reporting mandatory in the Equality, Race and Disability Bill. So we are pleased to respond to the consultation on mandatory ethnicity pay gap reporting and action plans. And it does mark a significant milestone in advancing racial inequality in the workplace. But reporting it on its own is not enough. We want to see employers made to be accountable and take meaningful action to do something about those gaps. That's why UNISON in Your Name is calling for mandatory action plans as well as requirement to report those gaps. As we continue to work locally with employers across the UK to get signed up to UNISON's Anti-Racism Charter, another key initiative from the Year of the Black Worker, a brilliant, simple, yet powerful set of asks, pioneered originally by the Eastern region, wherever you are, over there, well done. It's been adopted nationally and rolled out across the UK. And it provides a structured review of progress over 12 months to make significant workplace changes and ensuring that they're implemented. So it's all good and well having the charters where the councils can hold them up to say we have signed up, but it is on you as the active members in your branches, challenging your branch or being participation to those meetings with the employer to ensure that you are evaluating that they are doing the work that they've promised to do. But conference, we also face some wider challenges. At this present time, we're seeing the government, its opposition, Reform UK, the media, and the far right painting a false picture. One that claims that migrants and trans people are a danger to women and girls. In reality, women's bodies are increasingly subject to public scrutiny. Migrant women workers face more violence. Trans people face isolation. Now, this transphobic and racist rhetoric does not protect women. It endangers us, and it fuels the causes of harm, misogyny, underfunding, and the privatisation of public services. And sometimes it's difficult to pull all that together as we get on with our daily lives. But who benefits from that division? Not working class people. Right-wing forces have disguised a class war as a culture war. And I do include Reform in that category, selling us a story that asylum seekers seeking refuge in this country are the cause of our broken infrastructure, when it's the rich and powerful who seek to profit from our labour and place extortion on our daily living expenditure. They're the ones to blame. And it's years of underfunding from successive governments who choose to fund illegal wars, who profit from the arms flowing from the UK to Israel to fund a genocide in Palestine, so that when their land is stolen, it is the private profiteering that sucks out the profit on the back of our labour to build up their stocks and shares. And we've got to put the blame where it is. We hear it all the time. There's no money. The rich and powerful telling us to tighten our belts whilst they undo theirs. If you take the time to have a look behind the media headlines, based on data just from 25 to 26, the top richest families in the UK hold more wealth than the poorest 50% of the entire population. And that wealth has rocketed in the last 20 years. And Reform UK are peddling as a working class party. Their leader, Nige, is a billionaire. And he's building his party from all the Tory rejects, who are just as happy to keep the profits rolling in, but who want to attack the rights that we as trade union members have fought and won over decades. Our equality rights centre to their attacks. They can't even decide from week to week what the policy is. So I want to remind all of us here today that every moment that workers spend pointing the finger at colleagues, at the friends, at the neighbours in the community, that is time stolen from fighting the true enemy. Let us use the May elections to weaken reform once and for all. I'm also committed to standing up on our international platform in the face of such chaos that is playing out across the globe. Russia attacking Ukraine, Israel attacking Palestine, Trump attacking anyone he thinks he can grab more oil or mineral from. It all makes it a dangerous place for us at the moment. But we must be ready to call out international breaches of human rights wherever they happen. Why? Why does it matter? It matters because all these breaches impact on the UK, because that is the plight of where refugees come from. It comes from the invasion of nations, from these crazy leaders who see money or land to their gain, but sell it as a need to protect another country's sovereignty. It's ironic, because when we see our charities shaking the tin for collections to fund much needed hospice and cancer care, it's really funny, because you never see a war general shaking a tin for more bombs. And this government needs to continue to stay out of the evasion of Iran. We should learn the lessons from Iraq. And I'll also continue to call out this government making poor decisions that impact on our standard of living, and importantly, making clear what our demands are, including better funding for our cherished public services, better funding, better pay, better living conditions, and dropping its racist policy on our sponsored migrant workers by showing them instead the gratitude for answering our call for support. Conference, this year ahead is about strengthening our foundations and building lasting power from the ground up. And I'm looking forward to doing that work together. Because in all of the misery and uncertainty, our history tells us something very clear. When we organise, when we come together, we're more powerful and we can win. We must organise at workplace level and in our communities, and we have to become united, because that is where the real power lies. One simple test of strength is this: just if every member recruits one new worker, we double our strength. Those conversations in the workplace, in the break room, outside of work, are where new activists are found and resistance begins to grow. And it's our responsibility, each and every one of us, to support people coming into the union and supporting them to take on new roles, even when they believe they haven't got the confidence to do so. In too many parts of our union workplaces, we still don't have union recognition. And we only get that when we build our numbers. So my vision's clear and it's simple. A union that stands shoulder to shoulder with black workers every single day is a union that turns pain into power. A union that delivers change that you can see and feel in your workplaces. A union that organises, challenges and changes. Now, I didn't come into this role to maintain the status quo. I came in to transform it. I came into this role on your vote, to be your voice, but comrades, I cannot do this alone. So today I ask you one question. Are you prepared to be part of the change and part of our journey? The union's me, but the union is you, the union is us. So I'll ask you finally, are you prepared to join me on this journey of change? Conference, together we will build a union that truly reflects the strength, the resilience and leadership of black workers. A union that fights for justice, a union that wins. So I will end my speech here and I want to just then pay tribute to one of the fastest growing elements of our black members section, and that is our sponsored migrant workers. Treacherously, this Labour government, far from learning from the Windrush scandal, appear to be leading in the same direction with the indefinite leave to remain proposals. And it's an absolute abhorrent proposal. And our unions, UNISON migrant workers, are fighting back and they are leading the way in their organising. And there is a National Migrant Workers Committee at the moment, and boy do I know it, because within the first week that I took office, they demanded to see me. And quite rightly, I met them. And they've laid down their demands clearly, and we are working and actioning and winning on some of those proposals. So I do know, and I acknowledge the earlier vote, and that will have been, it sounded that it was disappointing in the room, but I just want to give you confidence that that network is already there. They're already organising, they're already fighting back, and the union is behind them 100%. When they tell me what to do, I ask them how quickly do they want it done. They tell me yesterday, so I'm on with it. So conference, solidarity. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your conference, and hopefully I'll see most of you at tonight's social, dancing away. Solidarity.
Thank you, Andrea. Andrea. Can we ask you to? Can we ask you to stay? Thank you, conference. Thank you, Andrea. We have said a resounding yes to joining you on this journey of change. Thank you for your fantastic speech that reflects your commitment to continue supporting black workers. And we quote you, turning commitment into action. We are with you all the way. Thank you very much for that speech.
Thank you.
Before you go, we would like you to please present an award to both winners of our Nelson Mandela Award and Young Black Members Award as our General Secretary. So the award was set up as a result of a conference motion which called for our conference to recognize an individual's outstanding personal contribution to our struggle. So I'm delighted to tell you that this year's award has been given to Sandra Okwara. Thank you very much. Congratulations to Sandra, winner of Nelson Mandela Award 2026. Thank you. May I now invite the winner of Young Black Member Award 2026 to Kelvin Imoluame. Congratulations to Sandra and Kelvin. We look forward to seeing you throughout the conference. Thank you very much. Eastern region. Thank you very much.